Hey, yo, what up, guys? Krinny here, back with my first tutorial in my Maschine MK2 tutorial series. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the basics of how to make a beat with the MK2 hardware and the Maschine 1.8 software. So let's get right into it. So in this video, I'm basically just going to be going over loading sounds and recording a pattern, drums that is. And then later on in the series, I will get a I will do some sample tutorial videos just to clear those questions up, because I know I'm going to be getting a lot of those. So yeah, let's get into it. So loading sounds using the Maschine hardware is pretty simple. It honestly doesn't take that much effort. So I'm going to quickly go over how you can do it. You want to press you want to select group first of all if you're loading a kit. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'll load a kit, and then I'll also load individual sounds in a couple minutes. So to load a kit, you want to hit group. So up here on the hardware, you would hit the second button above the screen and select group, and then you want to hit browse. And now since you have chosen group, your filter will automatically be set to group, which you want. And now under bank, you can choose where, if you have expansion packs, you can choose, one of those as your bank, or you can choose your user sound file or whatever. So for the sake of this tutorial, I will use one of the Maschine expansion packs called Helios Ray. I really like this pack. I'm pretty glad I got it. Yeah, so I select that as my bank, and under type, depending on what expansion you have, they'll all have different types, and some might not even have any. But Helios Ray has 4. It's got analog, melodic, urban, and vinyl kit. So they're all just types of kits that you can choose from. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose a vinyl kit, and then over here on the second screen, I can scroll through all the possible kits I can choose. So I'm gonna go with pusher kit. One thing that I like to do before loading my kits is deselect pattern up here. It'll say PATT and then a period and then a check mark. You want to deselect that. That way, when you load the kit, none of the preset patterns will load as well. Because I never use the preset patterns. I usually just make my own. So I don't know, it just seems easier just to do that. So, and then you just hit load. It'll load up, and here you have it. So here we have our kit. Got some pretty nice sounds in there. So let's go ahead and set our tempo here. I'm gonna set mine to before you do anything, you want to deselect browse. You just want to hit the browse button. That way you can get back to your main page. And what I like to do is just hit sound. That way I can edit sounds if I need to. But yeah, so to change tempo, you want to hit this tempo button right here. Hit that, and then that'll enable you to change the tempo using the big knob, big encoder right to the side of the Maschine hardware. So you just want to turn that. I'm going to go with 95, and then we can just deselect that because I'm not going to change it again. And now we can go ahead and record something. A couple people have been asking me actually how do I get the recording to count me in, right? So how do I get a 4-beat count in? A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll arm the record and then just press play, and that won't do anything. You won't be able to you won't hear the metronome or whatever, and you won't get a count in. However, if you press shift and then record, as you can tell, I got a count in there. I got a 4-bar count in, or sorry, a 4-beat count in. Obviously, I didn't let it start recording because I'm not ready to record anything yet, but that's how you get a count in. You'll also notice above the record button it actually says counting. So, and usually everything that has something, every button that has white wording above it, that white wording is usually activated by holding shift and then pressing that pad or button. So if I want to mute or if I want to choke all the sounds that are currently playing, I would hit shift and then the mute button, because that's choke. And same with counting, I would hit shift and record, and etc. for everything else. So let's go ahead and record something really quick. I'm just gonna hit shift, record, get that counting going. So just a basic little beat. I'm actually going to turn the metronome down because it's really, really loud and annoying. So in order to do that, what you want to do is you want to hit the volume button up here in the master section. You want to hold down shift and play. And while you're holding down shift and play, you want to turn the main encoder. And on the first screen on the hardware, you will see, as you start to turn the encoder, you'll see metronome volume, and as you turn it up or down, it'll start to go up or down. So I'm going to turn it about to 7.2. I think that's pretty good. Let's just give that a quick listen just to hear what it sounds like. To turn metronome on when you're playing, you just hit shift and play. Like I said before, it says metronome right over play. So to enable that, you would hit shift and then play. So turn that on, and then it'll give you a little notification on the main screen. So see, it says off, turn it on, it says on. So now if I go ahead and play that, so as you can tell, the metronome's a lot quieter, which I like. So yeah, so as you might hear in this beat, there's a few notes are off. If you can't hear them, I'll play it really quick again. So as you may be able to tell, there was no kick on the very first beat, and that is because sometimes if you hit it too soon, it'll go to the end of the sequence actually. So as you can see right here, there's the kick that should be, whoops, my bad. There's the kick that should be on the first beat. So to fix that, usually what I like to do is, using the hardware, I hit select. Also, if you want to know how to, you just hit the button and you don't have to hold it. Right above the first screen, the very first button, most of the buttons beside the pads, so like mute, solo, select, duplicate, navigate, pad mode, pattern, and scene, all of those have an option to hold that menu. So if I deselect select here, so if I hit this first button, I will have, every time I want to select something, I'll have to hold down the select button and then select whatever I want to select. Or I can press select, hold it down, then press this first button up here, which select. It's kind of weird, but and then it'll hold every time I press it. So as I said before, same goes for duplicate. I've already selected it for that. Navigate, pad mode, pattern, scene and pattern. I don't usually like to have it because I don't really want to be stuck on the scene or pattern screen when I'm doing live sets. I usually just want to do it really quickly. And then mute, solo, whatever, those I don't really worry about those too much. I'll change them when I go along. So, or as I go along, excuse me. So yeah, so to quantize, I kind of want to quantize some of these notes, as I was saying, because they're a bit offbeat. So to do that, I would hit select, and then up here I'd hit the third button and select events. And then since I only use the first two pads, the kick and snare, I would hit the kick pad and the snare pad. Now that those are selected, I can hit the select button, press down shift, and I'll hit pad 6, which is quantize 50%. Now that doesn't quantize it completely, because I like to have some human feeling aspect to my drums, so I won't quantize it completely, but it'll get it sounding a lot better than it already is. Now, down here on the screen, you might see it says step 1/16. Now you can change this using the mouse and screen or whatever, but I prefer to use this using using the hardware. Now, if you don't know what that is, this is what it quantizes to. So if I set it to 1/2 a bar, that's what each note will quantize to, and that'll basically just ruin everything. Usually I'll keep it at 1/16, but you can change it to, you can get really in depth with Maschine. You can go to like 1/128th, which is nuts. I don't know why you'd ever need to fine tune that much, but whatever. So using the hardware, you would hit grid, which is right above the shift button. You hit grid, and then on the second screen you have all the options that you can choose. So you can choose 132, 1/4 triplet, 1/64th triplet, 1/64th, whatever. But for now, I'll just leave it at 1/16th, which is pad 5. So now I still have those selected. I'm gonna hit shift and pad 6, and that'll quantize them. So now we can go ahead and give that a listen. Let's see if it sounds any better. So yeah, that definitely sounds a lot better than it did before. However, that kick that's supposed to be on the first beat is still at the end. Now, this is where you kind of have to use the mouse, unless you want to get really finicky with the hardware, which I don't really like to do. I'll just use the mouse. You just want to select this note just by left clicking on it, and I'll just quantize it completely. So you would hit shift and then pad 5, which is quantize. So it completely quantizes it to 1/16th. So now if we give it a listen, it's right on beat. It's right where we want it to be. So that's good for kick and snare. Let's see if we got any other sounds we can use. So I think I'm gonna use I'm gonna layer the snare pusher 5, and this hi-hat I'll throw on. First though, that hi-hat kind of seems a bit loud to me. So what I'm gonna do is I kind of want to turn it down. So to do that using the hardware, I'll do the software first. To do that using the software, you would just come to the sound here, and you want to take the left knob, and you just want to turn that down a bit. Right? You just want to drag it down. But for the sake of this tutorial, I will use the hardware. So for the hardware, you want to deselect modules. So you want to hit the 4th button above the first screen. Deselect modules. Now you're in the sound page. So on the second screen, you'll have 4 options. You'll have SRC, GRV, which is groove, MCR, and out, which is output. So to turn it down, you would obviously go to output, and then on the first screen here, this second knob, this affects the level, which is the output, which is how loud it is. We also have the main output, which is selecting what the actual output of the sound would be. So we can choose none, master, group. That's basically just a way of routing your sounds to EQs and whatnot. So I'll just leave it on group for now, but I'm going to turn it down a bit. So I'll just hit the pad and turn it down to whatever my liking. So I think around 8.6 decibels is pretty good. And I'm not gonna bother panning it. To pan you use the 3rd knob, but I'm not gonna bother doing that. So now let's go back into modules by hitting the 4th button. And for now, I'm just going to use the note repeat, because I don't really feel like hitting it 16 times. So as I said before, with the holding option for the buttons like select, duplicate, navigate, and pad mode, you can also do that with note repeat. So you hit note repeat, and the first button here, it says repeat. If you hit that, you know, it will hold. You won't have to hold down the note repeat button. So I'll do that, and here on the second screen we have all our options to, you know, to what time signature we want, or sorry, not time signature, what we want how fast we want the hi-hat to go, or whatever sound we're using. So we have 1/8, 1/16, 1/16 triplet, and 132. So I'm going to use 1/16 because we're at 95 beats per minute. It's not too fast. So give that a listen. So as you can hear, you know, it's pretty good. So I'm just going to record that into the beat, and we'll go from there. So that sounds pretty good to me. I'm actually gonna turn down the kick and snare a bit because those are a bit loud. So what I'm gonna do is unselect note repeat, turn off modules, go to output, select the kick, and do the same thing that we did for the hi-hat. Just turn it down a bit, maybe to 4.4 is good, and then the snare, turn that down to maybe like 3.8, maybe a bit more, 4.4. Alright, that seems pretty good. And now I'm going to layer the snare. So to layer the snare, I'm not going to bother playing it through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my mouse here. And I'm going to select the snare notes. I'm just going to drag them out a bit. And I'm going to hold down Control. I'm using a PC, by the way. For a Mac, I think you would hold down the command key. I'm not too sure what it is for Mac, but you hold down Control. You select all the notes. You hold down Control, and then you want to left click on one of the notes and just drag it to whatever sound you want it to be on. So I want it to be on sound 11, so I'm going to drag it down here, and we should be good. Yeah, so it's on snare pusher 5, which is snare I want to layer. And now when I'm layering snares, I'll usually turn some of them down. So I'm just gonna turn the layered snare down a little bit, about double the amount that I turned down the first snare, just because I want the first snare to stand out a bit more. So now that we did that, let's see what it sounds like. I think we could turn metronome off. We're pretty good for now. But I don't really like how that snare sounds, to be honest. So now this is where the individual sound loading comes into play. So I'm gonna go ahead and over here, I'm gonna use the software for this, since I already used the hardware for the groups. The software, I'm gonna go to the left side of the screen where the search menu is. I'm gonna hit this last option, which is it's got an icon of a waveform. I'm gonna hit that, and it's gonna load up. Oh, look at that. Okay, so it's gonna load up, and now we can just search for sounds. So I kind of want one from the same sound pack, so I'm gonna select Helios Ray as my bank. For type, Crackle, because that's the only. Actually, no, I won't select Crackle. I'm gonna look for. I'll go with a snap. How about that? So let's hear how this sounds. I guess that's all right. So if you want to audition it, by the way, you would go down here to the bottom of the search menu and you hit this speaker icon, and what that does is that enables the auditioning every time you select a sound. So actually, I don't really want to snap. I just changed my mind. So let's search for snare here really quick. None of these are very good. I kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this onto the pad 11. And I'm going to turn it down a bit because it was kind of loud. So that's basically how you know, load sounds with the software. To do it with the hardware, you select whatever pad you want to load to, hit browse. As your filter, you would select sample. And you know, you can choose your bank, choose your type, choose your subtype, whatever. So I'm going to choose Helios Ray. If I can find it. There it is. I'm not going to choose any type for subtype. I'm going to choose vinyl. And then, oh, wow. Okay, let's turn pre-hear off. To do the auditioning with the software, you would just hit pre-hear right here. I'm going to turn it off because I need to scroll all the way down. So I'll just turn that off for now. Oh, my bad. This might take a while to scroll. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so it was called Snare Magnum 2. So if we scroll down a bit, oh, there it is. Okay. So there we go. So there's Snare Magnum 2. We just load that, and it's already loaded. So that's how you load sounds with the hardware and the software, individual sounds. So let's see how this sounds. Alright, so I turned it up a bit, and it actually turned out that sound better. So, you know, I kind of like that. So, I think that's pretty good for this pattern, to be honest. I kind of like where we're at right now.